Hey guys, today I am at Platinum Motor Cars in Birmingham, Michigan with two of the latest generations of BMW M5s. We're going to talk about what are the differences, what are the similarities, and try to cover everything you need to know when you're comparing the two different cars. So here we have the F10 M5, it's a 2016 model year car, and then the brand new F90 M5, which this one is a 2018. So to get started, first of all, the most obvious difference is the keys. On the left here is the F90 key, on the right is the F10 key. I vastly prefer this new one. It's got a metal finish to it, it's got more weight to it, it's a lot nicer shape, more unique, it's got the M stripes on the side. F10 one is kind of plasticky, it's kind of lighter, it's kind of cheaper. They both have the same purposes, to unlock the cars. Okay, all right, we'll start with the F10. This is the older vehicle. Powertrain-wise, both have 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8s. 4.4, 4.4. The F90 has updated V8. In this car, it's 560 horsepower. In this car, it is up to 600 horsepower. So focus on the F10 more specifically. Let's see, it's unlocked here. Let's open it up. This one, interesting enough, is a manual transmission. That's actually really rare to find. F10 M5s and manuals. So a big reason why the manual is no longer offered on the F90 is because nobody bought these in manual transmission. It was less than 5% take rate in America. So transmission-wise, the new F90 is an 8-speed automatic now with a torque converter. That is the only option for the transmission. F10 you could either get a dual clutch or you could get a manual. And now M5 no longer has a manual. This is the first generation to get rid of the manual transmission. People who are going to complain have nothing to complain about because they offered it on this car and nobody bought them. So, I mean, BMW went, hey, nobody's buying them. We're not going to make them anymore. So it's dead now. So, again, this was either a 7-speed dual clutch or a 6-speed manual. This one is manual. Rear-wheel drive is the only driven wheels on an F10 M5. So that's a big thing that's different, too. The F90 M5 is all-wheel drive now, but it's still very heavily rear biased. So theoretically, it could send power equal split or more up to the front wheels, but it never does that. The computer doesn't control that. It's still heavily rear biased, which is a good thing because, I mean, rear-wheel drive is more fun. I mean, but the problem is, on an F10 M5, it makes so much power and torque to the rear wheels, it's almost unusable. I've driven a lot of these cars, and pretty much the traction light is always flashing, no matter what you're doing. If it's dry out, taking a turn at 25, give it quarter throttle, traction control goes, it spins the tires. It's absurd. All-wheel drive will help put the power down. It's faster, more usable. You pretty much reached the limit with this generation of M5, the F10, of pretty much usable power to the rear wheels only. So I guess if you're looking at these vehicles and you definitely only want rear-wheel drive, you're stuck with the F10. If you're okay with all-wheel drive or you want all-wheel drive, F90 generation. Since we're on the outside of the cars, let's talk about styling briefly here. They're very similar. They're all both huge, absolutely ginormous. The M5s get steadily larger and larger and larger. If you think about an E39 5 Series, like an E39 M5, it's probably like 75% of the size of this thing. These two are similar sized. F90 got a little bigger, but it actually got lighter than the F10. Despite the heavy all-wheel drive system, they changed a lot of stuff, some weight-saving materials, some more modern stuff. This car is supposedly lighter than the F10, but that's not saying much because the F10 weighed as much as a small city bus. They've become very heavy, very massive. They're just huge vehicles now. But again, styling-wise, similar. Kidney grills up front. The headlight shapes are similar. They've got the more aggressive front fascia because it is the M version of the vehicle compared to a 528 or a 535 or such. You could get carbon ceramic brakes on these vehicles too. I don't think either of these are optional with carbon ceramics, but it was available. Lots of carbon fiber because it's an M car. But I mean, they are good-looking executive sports, super sport sedans essentially. I mean, they're well north of 500 horsepower, that's 600 horsepower, quad exhaust tips, M5 badge out back. To the casual observer, if somebody who is not a car enthusiast, these two might look exactly the same. Even to some casual observers, they might be like casual car people, they might mistake them. They are very, very visually similar. It's more, in my opinion, an evolution of styling rather than a completely different vehicle. If we come to the inside of the F10, that's another big thing. This interior is starting to feel a little bit dated for BMW, really in need of an update. MMI works fine, everything, but the whole overall layout, especially the center screen, when Audi and Mercedes have all gone to a giant, completely digital display, BMW still has conventional manual tachometer and speedometer, and that felt a little bit towards the older end. It's still a very nice interior. It's very spacious. You can option up lots of nice luxury and tech features. This one doesn't feature a lot of carbon fiber, actually. You can get that on the inside. The seats are very supportive and comfortable. And the rear seats are actually pretty usable too. They're large, very spacious. Let's go hop in the F90 and see what it compares. So here's the brand new one. Immediately you can tell. Big digital display there, larger iDrive screen in the middle. The big M1 and M2 buttons are in red right now, right in front of you. Big paddle shifters. It's just nicely updated here. A lot more digital display screens, a lot more tech. Feels a lot more modern. Now, you could argue for days and days whether the E63 or the new upcoming RS7 is going to be better or not on interior. I think a lot of it's personal preference. But suffice to say, it still feels very much like a BMW. The interior of the M5 all carries over, and it doesn't really sacrifice luxury or tech for the sake of pure performance. It's a heavy, big vehicle with a ton of stuff in it, and it's very, very nice. So there we go, a quick discussion overview between the F10 M5 and the F90 M5. Similarities, differences. To me, the top three most important things are going to be the change of transmission options available. They got rid of the manual for this. It's an automatic now, no more dual clutch. Automatic is better able to take the extremely high amount of torque and horsepower that this F90 M5 generates. 600 horsepower and like deep 500s torque is a lot. All-wheel drive is also very important. Between F10, F90, that to me would be a deal breaker or make me want to get an M5. Rear-wheel drive only, it struggles. I wouldn't be able to use it in the snow. In the rain, it'd probably get a little sketch sometimes. With all-wheel drive here, you still get the rear-wheel drive ability. I'll talk about it more in the specific video for this F90, but you can have a rear-wheel drive drift mode, essentially. So it still has that driving dynamic to it. And speaking of driving dynamics, BMW spent a lot of time updating and improving it, making the vehicle lighter, drive better, because a lot of people thought the F10 kind of lost its way. It was no longer a brilliant to drive M5 like the E39 or an E60 with that crazy V10. They hopefully have brought it back with this generation of M5. But that all being said, obviously as a newer car, more expensive, the F90 should be better. They've improved it, it's newer. But it's also, like I said, more expensive. You can get an F10 for a pretty good value. F90s are starting at around $100,000, but eventually they will depreciate. But for somebody who wants to understand the differences, what they've changed, hope this was educational. I really enjoy having two similar vehicles of the same model with different trims or different generations and seeing the things that they've changed and updated. It's a lot of fun for me to kind of see the things they decided to improve and what they just went, we'll leave it, it's fine. Overall, though, both are amazing vehicles. Going to do a little bit more with this F90 M5. If you're interested in these cars, go check out Platinum Motor Cars in Birmingham, Michigan. They always have an insane inventory. If you guys have any questions, please comment below. Thanks for watching.